Hello beans, this is Blue Bean Harvest number 6. Welcome to all who would listen. We are Awakening Humanity on Roy's Radio with me, a shell of a man, Roy. Um, Today, Blue Bean Harvest number 6, not planned as such, we're just waking up and thinking we'll do this morning. So we've got some topics that we're going to look at, and it's same old, we're talking about God, because God is all there is. We're going to talk about what God is, what God isn't very briefly. We'll go on to Christ's mind. We can touch on living as God. Then we're going to look at oppressed, people that are oppressed. I'm thinking of the reactive nature of expression by Benny the Butcher of Israel towards the Palestinians. I don't understand. We talk about identification of self with groups and the dangers. And we'll talk about love, unlove, the things that we can think of and do, exercises we can do maybe, and bear witness to God's creation. So what God is, what God isn't, can we say, is there anything that God is not? Well, I don't think so. Because if I'm God and you're God, and there's only one God and we are it, then our thoughts, words and actions are of God. However, we didn't create everything that we can see in creation. So there is an expression of self that seems detached because of our perception of other creation. Okay? But the truth is that our sense of awareness is there to simply see the beauty in the creation of this heavenly place. Yeah? Anyway, so what God is everything in the most literal sense, and God is no thing. And no thing is the infinite space from where everything derives. Yeah? So let's look at Christ's mind, and I suppose we should say in the same breath the notion of Jesus Christ. So Jesus Christ, in the sense of that name, as we think of it as a name attached to an individual, that's a fictional character created in the 3rd century after the death of an Essen monk that inspired people to think of things in different ways. That's where we get the streaming of information coming in the New Testament. Yeah, the Testament, the Old Testament, Old, New. Anyway, so the bottom line is that everything is there and is being born forth of our ego mind, which is our small mind, and all we don't have to think. We don't need to do anything as such. Everything that we need is here. We just have to understand who we are and work our way back towards an absolute awareness of our true self, our true nature, and at that point we will have magnified our awareness with our expansive awareness, and that's the crucifixion, magnify 1,000-fold, and we will achieve that sense of awareness of self as God. That's Christ's mind. So living as God, how do we do that and work towards that here and now in this space, in this time? Time. So that's interesting. I woke up with a thought in the middle of the night, and I thought I should have wrote it down, and I didn't, and it's just popped into my head. The idea that we can think, it doesn't matter what time it is or what date it is, we're still just within a 1 day cycle. It's just a 1 day cycle, you know? And if we just think of it as a 1 day cycle, then we begin to focus on the truth, because all this notion of time and dates and everything else, this is just, again, how we think of things, of what we need to do to survive. And we don't need to survive, because we have absolute and infinite creative power. The belief of that is coupled with desire, and there we find creative force. And creative force is the expression in our awareness of that which we desire, from within to without, in this space. But that should really only be based on just a general acceptance and allowance of creation to unfold in what is big G space, which is this. So thinking of Christ mind as opposed to Jesus Christ is fictional. Religion, in this sense, religion isn't a bad thing. Going to church isn't a bad thing, sort of. But any religion is going to focus on an idol, I suppose, of some name, character, or whatever. And there is only one, and anything that's perceived outside of self is not self. Yeah. So every time I say outside, I'm talking here and now. So we don't really relate to anything here, because we are the absolute in creation. Creation is us, in the sense of I am as you are. Very powerful stuff. So Christ mind, day-to-day living, how do you do that? Well, you just, whatever situation you find yourself in, you're going to find moments of catalyst coming in front of you, and these are opportunities to become aware of action and word and thought, and you are your own judge as to what your experience is. Once you judge expression, then you can say, that's not for me, that expression. I don't consider that a loving expression. I might consider it an unloving expression. So I turn from that expression. Sometimes if we express ourselves with emotion, we can look back on our own expression and we can think, well, that was pretty unloving, what we've just done. So in that instance, we can say, okay, fine. I accept that, I allow it, and it's just there. I'm not going to dwell on it. Yeah, think of PTSD, think of guilt, think of trauma, all these different aspects. We can turn from this. It doesn't matter whether we are victim or victor, in the sense of who's doing what or having what done to them. It's that idea of making a choice to turn away from that and move in a loving direction. Because, well, that's not loving. So we'll move away from that and go somewhere else. And so we're growing in love. Our outlook expands in a loving way. Okay, that's what we do on a daily basis. When we get up in the morning, the first thing we can do is remember, as I always write down, just remember that, oh yeah, I'm God, wow, here I am again, excellent. Okay, so in this cycle, in this repeat cycle, and you can think about positive things, about good things, about growth, about what you want to do to remove a sense of attachment to things. so that there's no anchors, there's no needs. You can start to do a lot of work within. You can be aware of, when you wake up in the morning, what's the first things that enter your mind, apart from the notion of being aware of self as God. And you can jot these down, the first 3, 5, 7 things, and just be aware of them. And then you can think through these things. These are coming up after your rest cycle, and then we're coming into a cycle of change in another day, yeah? So we've gone through sleep, and let's experience. Creation, experience. Creation, experience. There's always creation first. Yeah, and remember that the initial creation, the original creation, is the big G, which is us as absolute self, before we became, we're detached, we're separate, and we're not. Okay, there is no separation. There is no spatial separation. It doesn't matter what you perceive, your perception is only limited. But it's just think of every perception, just close your eyes, and every person in the world, this is where they are now. There is no spatial variation. It's all just... Anyway, so let's go to the oppressed peoples. What you feel, what you think you are, is choice. Everything that you experience is choice. It's your choice to experience, so you have the choice to, again, repeat, something else, repeat. All these things are repeating, until you acknowledge, accept, you allow, and you just recognise it and let it move away. Oh yeah, right, okay, yeah. I've made a judgment on that myself. Remember, the final judge in every instant is big G. And there is only one judge, and that is self. And self delivers unto self that which small self needs to grow into big self, into wholeness, to become whole. Okay. So that means that anyone that feels oppressed is wallowing in self-pity. It's like, why are you in this? Oh, yeah. Why are you refusing to grow? So it's a choice. I do get frustrated when I see behaviour that is a choice, and then it's like someone says, well, why did that happen to me? And it's like, well, that was a choice. Okay. So make a choice to change and be better, and to think better, to speak better, to act better, and grow in love every day. That's the choice. And when we look at the nature of big G expression, bear witness to it. Oh, wow. Doesn't matter what it is, whether that's in other self or what we perceive as what makes up this biosphere, this place, this planet, Earth, what we think of as our home. Yeah, this is our playground to come and unfold. How did it all come about? Well, because at the point of, let's say, from first notion, yeah, in the sense of that idea of a big bang, you could say, creation is constant and ongoing, and because of that, there is a constant unfolding of awareness of self. And through that constant unfolding, because the expression is here, this is where we experience the notion of consciousness, or this awareness. So we experience awareness, and because we have an awareness of our playground, we see that sense of separation developing. And this is obviously entrained into us as we go through childhood. We pick up all our bad traits, all our bad vibes, all our negativity, all our evils, whatever. And then we just either recreate or we stay within. Either way, there's no growth. So the idea is that now, as things come up in our mind, we judge self and we deal with them and let them go. We allow them. Oh, yeah, right, okay, I can see that. Oh, yeah, right, what I did was good. What I did was bad. What I did was unloving. What I did was loving. That's all it is. We should move just to those words, really, loving and unloving. Because there's no evil, there's no right or wrong, because as God, you have an individual choice. And the idea is that you come back, to self, which absolute self, which is big G, and that's that idea of expanding in awareness as we allow everything to wash over us, and we go, yeah, I'm God. And this is my world, and everything is perfect in every moment. In every moment, regardless of circumstance, everything is as it should be, otherwise it would be different. Yeah, good. So, bear witness to God's creation, the oppressed, living as God, Christ mind, God isn't, God is. Yeah. So, enjoy yourself, wake up, jot down your ideas, explore and think of things that come into your mind, however seemingly painful. Remember, nothing can harm you because you're the big G. But that doesn't mean that you could, or you should. I mean, you can do anything you like. But if we go back to the notion of when the New Testament was coming together, and it's like, well, the books say that we actually don't do all the riotous living that you want to do, and if we don't do that and we focus on the idea of who we are, then we can work back to becoming aware of our true self as God. And then it was, well, look, if we are God, this was the argument, if we're God, why can't we just choose to do what we like here, and then we can forgive ourselves because it's God doing something, and so I can forgive myself as God. And that ultimately was the ego basis of error originally, that allowed things to be put together to form what we think of as modern religions and New Testaments, in the sense of Old Testaments, in the interpretation of the collective lot, even down onto the Muslim side, Muslim faith. Yeah, it's just all, any individual that acts in the name of their religion and acts in an unloving way is just an individual person acting in an unloving way, full stop. Yeah, there are no umbrellas, there's no real foundations apart from the fact that everyone acts as they want to act, everyone does as they want to do things, everyone says what they want to say. Yeah? So, remember, Trump's just a waste of space in the sense of becoming a president. You know, why would you just, a big orange face? I mean, what's the go with that? Ego. Everything's a nonsense with Trump. America will become the laughing stock of the world if Trump becomes your next president. Sad to say. Maybe it's necessary, maybe it's the part of unfolding to bring America down, which will change the face of the planet and maybe launch all sorts of nonsense over the world. Maybe that's what's coming in 2025. Excuse me, but were some global catastrophe coming like that, because I mean, God knows, they keep trying with so many different things to wipe out silly amounts of people, instead of just allowing things to happen, and things will just happen normally. Yes, so, Trump, don't vote for Trump. vote for Harris, and we'll see what happens. Okay? That's my final words. That's...